Behind every success, there is a story that most people never get to hear. In this episode, Chris Walker shares the unfiltered journey from founder to exit, the vision that got him there, and the vision for what he's building next. Enjoy. Chris Walker, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Dude, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to cover all these topics, and I just announced the exit and the completion of a previous chapter of my life, the exit of Refine Labs, just yesterday, and I've been doing a ton of reminiscing and talking to people from the whole journey, and this is just like a perfect time for this interview, and I'm really looking forward to doing it with you.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. There's so much to cover. I know you've got a wealth of experience in your industry, and also just a wealth of knowledge and experience that you've taken along that journey, which is now leading to your next project, which we will get into as well, for sure. But let's start back at the beginning with Refine Labs. You wrote that Refine Labs started with nothing more than a vision and $3,000 in your bank account. So where I want to start this conversation is, where did that vision come from? And what gave you the courage to step into going for Refine Labs?
Perfect. Yeah, even like one step backwards, I think it'll be really useful for some people that are earlier on. In 2017 and 2018, people see it now looking back, but at that point, I could barely get a job. Like, I would apply for thousands of jobs, and given all of like the people that see my credibility and knowledge now, nobody saw it back then. And so for a lot of people that might be in that period of their life, but know that they have it and no one's giving them a shot, like getting in the driver's seat and taking control of it through entrepreneurship and content creation, like I almost got pushed into that direction. And it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. And so in 2019, about April, I was in my living room. I had a 2-bedroom apartment that we shared with my buddy in South Boston. It was like $900 a month. I had barely any money in my bank account. I was starting this journey. I had like 3 months of runway. I sold and got rid of my car because I couldn't afford the car payment and the parking and the insurance to get it off the ground. I had no social media following. I hadn't produced content on the internet. I had no investors. I had no network. The reason that I say all of that is because a lot of people make excuses of like, oh, I need to raise $10 million to build a company, or like I need to get a big following, or I need to have a big network. No, you can start from zero, and don't use that as an excuse. Use that as an advantage. I actually found it to be an advantage back then because I was able to be smarter than everybody else. I was able to move more quickly, and for a lot of reasons, I found it to be an advantage. So I'm sitting there. I don't really know what I'm going to do. And as I pick up a couple of freelance clients for like $100 an hour, so now all of a sudden I'm making like 5 or 10K a month. So I have some breathing room. And I had this clear picture that came to me. And now in hindsight, and it's happened to me many times in my life, I'm sure we'll get into it, it's truly clairvoyance, or even a more advanced version of clairvoyance, where I like saw it. I could see all the people that work in this. It was an office back then, but all these people that work in the office, the type of clients that we work with, the biggest up and coming SaaS companies in the world, the smartest people that are going to helping clients and be able to grow in their career and go on and start their own businesses and be able to become leaders of future departments or companies or things like that. I could see how big our company was, the feel and the vibe of it, how people felt like they were growing so quickly, and the energy in it. And at that point, literally nobody worked at my company. I got so not attached in the wrong way, but so clear on that vision. And I just sort of kept working toward it. Some of the big things that happened to me that I made moves on was in early 2019, I was one of the first consistent content producers on LinkedIn. And then I was arguably the first consistent video content producer on LinkedIn in late 2019. Mm-hmm. while many other people were debating what's the ROI of LinkedIn, like I think I should just keep going to my conferences, or I'll keep doing my cold calls and cold emails. I just saw a clear path of like all these people are using LinkedIn and nobody's producing great content there. This is my opportunity, and I think there's new opportunities there for people as well. Um, and I'm sure we'll get into more of it, but that's the vision came to me in 2019.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So let's go into a couple of things there. First of all, the way you describe it, I like it, which is it was almost like clairvoyance. You just describe that for us. So where were you? Do you remember what you were doing at the time where you got that vision, and where you were? Were you with certain people? Were you by yourself? Like what was happening when it just came to you, and how was it so vivid?
This happened to me many times now, and I'm sure we'll get into it in further detail. But this was one of the first times that it happened to me. 100% of the time that it happens, I'm by myself, and I'm generally, I would say, I'm in my home many times. But the important part is that you feel safe.
Mhm.
And so it's happened other times in other places in nature and things like that. But it's important that you feel safe. Um, how do I describe to someone how to do this? There's no description to it. I'm sure we can get into the levels because it's actually a stacking of levels and awareness that get you to access these abilities that you are innately capable of, but get blocked for all of these reasons that we'll go into. Um, and I could just see it all. And the way that I see it now in hindsight is that once you see it, you basically set the energy for what's going to happen, and then all of these perfect things show up exactly when I want them. Like the perfect ideas show up, a customer that we need shows up at the right time before we like can't make payroll the next time. The perfect teammates, the perfect business partners, and so that's the. I'm sure we'll get into some of the steps of how to, but
Definitely.
it's yeah.
So let's go back to when Refine Labs started. And for everyone that doesn't know what Refine Labs is, how would you describe Refine Labs? What does it do, and how does it help its clients?
Yeah, Refine Labs is a progressive digital marketing agency and demand generation firm focused on B2B software and technology companies. Technology and software companies believe that they're super innovative, and many times their products are, but when it comes to their marketing, especially in 2019, it was the most outdated, practical bullshit of going to conferences and cold calling people and having people download your ebooks, the most robotic stuff. And I just saw all the flaws in it when I worked with clients. And so we challenged the entire model of how you think about demand generation and marketing in B2B companies. And dare I say, built a whole new way to think about marketing in a enterprise B2B situation.
Got it. So going back to that kind of first instance of when this vision came to you, you knew you had to go and focus on building this business. You're taking on work as a freelancer. Was that through like Upwork or Fiverr?
I got the first couple of clients through companies that I'd worked for as an employee in the
Fair
past,
enough.
or through my network.
Yep.
So it was first through people that knew me, and then after that, they started almost exclusively coming through LinkedIn DMs based on the content that I was publishing.
Got it. So now going back to what you said earlier, where you were finding it really hard to get a job between like 2017, 2018. What gave you the confidence then when everything looked like it was against you and the market looked like it wasn't believing in your capability? What gave you the confidence then to start making content anyway?
It's a really awesome question. In 2016, 17, I actually did this stuff as an employee for a company, and saw incredible results. And even with the incredible results, the way the executives thought, they didn't even see how impactful it would be to the company's growth, believe it or not, because they're so focused on like, let's scale our sales team with the old B2B model. And so I'd already seen it work. I'd already calculated all the metrics. I had understood it, and I understand finances from a level that I could put that in investor language and growth language. But in the early 2019, I saw some people like Dave Gerhardt or Josh Braun posting on LinkedIn, and I literally thought to myself, this is a true story. It's like, what do I know? Why would people listen to me? I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough experience. These are stories that run in your head at that point. I'm sure many people can resonate with that. And then I don't think I've told this story ever, but there happened to be a B2B conference that happened in Boston in 2019, and I decided to attend it. So I like paid money and I attended the conference and I could see the speakers, and there was the last keynote of like the most popular person in B2B at that time, the keynote speech, and I'm listening to it and I'm like, this guy's talking about doing all the shit that I know doesn't work. And that was the switch for me of being like, I know that I can bring people something different, a different perspective here, because the most popular people are still preaching a playbook from 2013 that I've tried and tested and know it doesn't work, and I found a better way. And from that moment forward, I started to not just comment and lurk on LinkedIn, but actually publish. And I think I published every day, including Saturday and Sunday at that point for multiple years. Like I didn't miss a day. And the conventional wisdom, and this is another key tip for people, the conventional wisdom at that time on LinkedIn was only post Monday through Friday. Professionals don't use LinkedIn on the weekends. And for 6 or 8 weeks straight, I would get up and I would make a killer post on LinkedIn, and I would post it on a Saturday, and I would get 3 million, 5 million views on that post on Saturday because everybody still looked at the platform and nobody published.
Wow.
And that was one key. I don't like calling it a hack. That's just called being smarter and challenging existing wisdom. And that was a massive accelerant to the awareness and my following.
Amazing. So talk to me about the first set of clients that you got in Refined Labs and how that grew from 2019, especially considering that you started this business the year before COVID happened and you'd already started to build a following online as well, which most people in that industry hadn't been doing. So talk to me about that growth phase.
Um, yeah, so our first clients would come from LinkedIn, generally like smaller companies willing to, either because their budgets are low, they're like willing to be more progressive. They see and they have the ability to try new things, where big organizations sometimes get stuck in their own politics and being safe and stuff like that. So generally they were like Series A seed companies or just bootstrapped or privately owned companies that were profitable. And at that point, we would do anything. It was like, okay, you need help with RevOps, cool. You need help with reporting, good. You need messaging strategy, website, like whatever it is, we'll do it.
I'm
And
gonna
so we
just pause
had,
you there. I'm just gonna pause you there for a second because I'm so glad you said that, because there's so many people that go into business thinking that they need to have a niche of what they're gonna do for people. Yet you were there kind of just going, what problem do you have? And the answers just seem to be yes to being able to solve most of them.
and at that point, it was like, okay, you're a DTC brand selling on Amazon. I'll run the Amazon ads for you. I'll run Facebook ads for you. You're a B2B company, med tech, software. At that point, I wasn't even focused on software. All my experience had been in med tech and manufacturing and D2C. And
Mm.
so a lot of the clients were like that. And then all of a sudden, I'm publishing on LinkedIn. And who are the people that are coming to me? They're not med tech companies. They're not D2C brands. They're all software companies. And so almost by putting it out there, you reflect back, these are the people that are actually interested in this and have this problem and have the budget. And so this was not some grand plan. I kind of stumbled into it.
And I think that's the key message that I want people to take from this, which is the idea that you start with isn't always going to be the idea that you end with, right? So what you have as a vision in the beginning will naturally change and evolve as you go through the motions and as you take each step as well. So, okay, you're producing content, you're getting clients coming through that are now focusing more on the B2B SaaS space. So, talk to us about that growth trajectory and how that kind of went from 2019, 2020, and then going on from there.
Let's start pre-COVID. So we'll kind of do that, and then there was a big marker in the world, and we can sort of see how that adjusted everything. But So like December 2019, maybe I'm up to like 40, 50K a month. I have one person full time working for me, maybe a freelancer or a contractor and things like that. I wanted to start doing these live events. So I'd like go to a city and like bring in someone like Justin Welsh or Josh Braun or Jake Dunlap, some of the people that produce content on LinkedIn at that point that were quote unquote more popular than me at the time. And so I had this idea, and then I spec'd one out to do one in Miami, and it was going to be like 15 grand. And with all the costs and everything, the business is growing, but it's not making a ton of profit. You know what I mean? So like 15 grand would be a big lift for me. And I'm like, I don't even know if anyone would show up. And so I sat on that decision for like 8 weeks, and then eventually decided to pull the trigger, have a camera crew fly in, have my team fly in, get Josh Braun over there, get the space and things like that. I mean, we did that event. 20 people showed up. We started sharing we produced the clips for him. He shared them, tagged me, brought a new audience to me. We did another one in February in LA with Justin Welsh, and I had other ones planned for San Francisco and Austin, but we obviously had to cancel them due to COVID. So this was the last one that we did. And that little strategy had been like having a guest come on and interview them and then share the content was like a massive driver for me because everyone else is looking at, oh, I like really trust Justin Welsh. Who's this guy that's with him? Oh, that's Chris Walker. Who's that? This is interesting. And so that was a nice tactic. So now I have like a live event video content strategy built up. I have this like collaboration influencer thing that seems to be getting traction. Mind you that nobody else is doing much of anything like this at the time. And then COVID happens, right? Which basically pushes all the chips directly to me. It's like every other company that was spending $5 million a year on trade show booths and cold calling and everything moved directly in my favor at that point. And so when that change happened, I was already on the track and ready to go, and I just hit the gas pedal really hard. We shifted from physical events to digital events. So we would do Zooms. The first week of COVID, we started doing them with my good friend Gaetano Dinardi. We did over 100 episodes every single Tuesday night during that COVID period of time. Started with 20 people that showed up the first night. And then we just loved doing it. Him and I had a great chemistry and great knowledge, and we loved the people that showed up, and we just kept doing it. And all of a sudden, within a little bit of time, hundreds of people were coming every single Tuesday night. That became the audio version of a podcast. So we turned that into the State of Demand Gen podcast, which I hosted more than 350 episodes for. And then all of that content that was created during that time started getting pushed out on LinkedIn, and it created this really crazy flywheel of like put out content, get more interviews and more ideas. The live event format was amazing, and the community that came was amazing. They would challenge our ideas, they would ask questions, they would try it in their own business and see if it worked and give us feedback. It was one of the most amazing things that I've done, both for how much it benefited people and also how much it benefited the company that I was building.
Incredible. So going back to when you reached out to these guys who were quote unquote more popular than you on LinkedIn, were there any people that you reached out to where you got no's?
I didn't get a single no, but it was very targeted. I knew who I was going for. And the value prop is very clear. Hey man, like you drive 20 minutes to this event, we'll set up the space, we'll bring the video crew, we'll get the videos for you, we'll invite all the people. All you have to do is show up and share your expertise. A lot of people are flattered with that type of invitation. And I knew the type of people because they were already leaning into video on LinkedIn, but maybe we're doing it on a Zoom or a webcam, and it's provided like a whole different level for their production.
Mhm.
And so I didn't get a single no.
That is amazing. But I guess that approach is powerful when you give that value proposition where it is flattery based and that person has to do nothing else other than show up effectively. So and then give a talk or answer questions, one or the other, which is great. So going through those events, and then taking those events online, seeing that growth skyrocket. How did it feel dropping the 15 grand at the beginning when you knew that you maybe didn't have the profit margin to do it, but you were going to take the risk anyway? Like, describe what that felt like, because there's probably a lot of people who are just on the verge of making a decision that has a financial cost to it. It might not be um, completely within reach, but it could lead to tremendous upside. Like, what was that feeling like for you, and what made you go, screw it, I need to do this?
It hurt. That's why I sat on the decision for like 8 weeks, and I had never invested that type of money in anything before in my life. I barely had that like much money in my bank account ever. Um, and so like, but I knew it was right. I guess like I just had this like knowing of it being right. And then just for people, like there are investments, and then there are like costs or depreciating assets. And at that point, it's just important that you make an event for 15K instead of go buy a Rolex or like lease a new car, right? And so I just see a ton of people in Miami that they're making like 30K a month, and then all of a sudden they're like leasing a Lamborghini, and then they lose two clients, and they're gonna about on the verge of going bankrupt, and the car is getting taken. So it's just like knowing at what level to make what investments. And so I just like had always had this strategy, which I could have I could have done it differently, but I never look back and I want to change anything. But I would just always pour all the profit back in after that happened and just continue to reinvest in the business and the growth. And so that was and then just by living humbly and living like I would say frugally at that point, you're able to take those swings where it's not going to put you out of business if you miss. I think that's also important, and to not get ahead of your skis financially.
Got it. Now, at that point, you were doing 40 to 50 grand a month, and it was kind of just you and a assistant that you had. So, as you started to grow quite rapidly, at what point did you start bringing on team members and starting to scale the internal team?
The first employee I hired, we were probably doing 22K MRR, so that cut the profit in half straight away. Um, but I always knew that I was building something bigger than myself. So that was like the strategy all along. Some solopreneurs try to get to 100K a month by themselves, and they have to go back and rewind all the processes and stuff like that. I always knew that I was building a team. And so it was pretty quickly that I was basically building a team around me of people that were more generalists that like could do a lot of different things and be flexible. And then I hired my fourth employee was a content person, Angelica Taylor, who ran that podcast for many years and did an amazing job. And so then fast forward, the little COVID drop happens. Everyone's panicking. I'm also panicking, right? Like none of our customers ended up leaving, but like we didn't get customers for a couple of months, and things were nobody was investing in anything.
Yeah.
And then around June, like there was just this unlock, especially in software. If you look at all software company stocks, like that started racing, the private companies, the funding, there was just like a boom happening. So at that point, I'm at like 5 employees and maybe like 80, 100K a month. And I'm starting to feel the cracks of me not being a COO. You know what I mean? And but I don't have the awareness of that yet, right? So I'm like, I think I need somebody. Maybe I can find a consultant. Maybe I can promote this person that I know isn't going to be able to do the job, but they're like the person right in front of me. And so I spent about a month looking to try to solve that because I'm not the person to follow up with everyone and make sure they do their tasks and to have the one-on-ones with them and things like that. It's just not me, and it's not my zone of genius. And over time, I've gotten very comfortable admitting that and stop pretending to be something that I'm not and things that I don't like to do. And so I'm like, gosh, like I think we're going to get stuck here if I don't do something about this. And so one Friday night, I'm taking my dog for a walk in the seaport of Boston. At that point, I had upgraded I had a studio apartment now by myself for 3K a month. And I'm walking around this nice neighborhood in Boston with my dog Friday afternoon, evening. Um, and I'll just tell the story straight up. People are going to think that it's weird, but so I'm having like basically a conversation with my dog. And so I'm talking to her, and then I'm like pretending like talking as her back to me. Um, and then people are going to think it was before this, but it was actually after I had the conversation with the dog that I decided to smoke a little weed on this walk. Um, and then literally almost instantly, boom, there was a voice in my head that said, "You need to hire Megan Bowen." And I had met Megan once in my entire life in New York City. We had done a podcast together a couple of months ago. I knew that she had just got a different job, and so I figured, oh, she's probably like definitely not like available. She wouldn't even want this opportunity, and like, your logic and reasoning play into it. That was my first true experience with clairaudience, when a voice in your head telling you what to do. Um, and so I immediately like acted on it. I sent her a DM. She had started working for a startup that did like office supplies, so like food and snacks and stuff like that in offices, obviously getting fucking destroyed
Yeah.
during the COVID lockdown and the work from home stuff. And so ironically, like it was the perfect time and she was available. And so we talked for about a month, and that was one of the best decisions that I've ever made in my life. And so then we started working together about a month later. And she became my business partner and a shareholder in Refine Labs in January of 2021.
It's amazing. So let's fast forward from there to when Refine Labs started to really progressively scale and quickly. What was the highest MRR that you guys got to whilst you were still at the company?
To answer the question directly, I think we peaked at like 21 million ARR, which is a little under 2 million a month. Um, and so in 2021, in 2020, we finished the year around 1.8 million in revenue, and then 21 was 6 million. And then 22 was 21 million.
So thank you for the answer. And the reason I asked that question was taking you way back to like 2018, going into 2019, when you had the vision of that company. Like, did you have these numbers in mind back then? Was there a different number in mind that you thought you were going to be able to hit? And was this like expected, or was this just so far beyond what you thought was possible?
I mean, the original plan when I was like in my living room in 2019 was make $1 million and invest in real estate and like move to South Carolina, believe it or not. Like that was the original plan. And then all of a sudden you're at 1 million ARR or 1 million run rate in like 9 months. And I was like, and LinkedIn's popping and people are loving the stuff. And I'm like, why would I stop now? And
Mm.
so it's totally unfathomable. That for me to get there, right? And so the way that I like to try to explain this to people is that in your life there's infinite possibilities of who you can be as an identity, what you can accomplish. It's all there. The thing is that you only see the possibilities that are close to the frequency that you currently operate on. So other people might be able to see way more potential and way more things because they're operating at a higher frequency that you don't see. And as you increase your frequency and you increase how you feel, then all of a sudden new doors open up. All of a sudden, oh, I can do that. Like I'm becoming that person. Oh, okay, now I can see how I can get here. And you can keep opening new doors as you grow.
I'm 100% of the belief that it's definitely easier for someone else to see the potential in you than it is for you to see yourself because of the fact that we all have our thoughts, feelings, belief, and our ego. So when that clouds our own judgment of our own capabilities, it's much easier for someone else to see, oh, obviously you're so naturally going to be able to do that. Whereas internally you go, there's no way in hell I could get even to 10% of that level. So I completely agree with that. And we're going to get deeper into that as well. Um, Talk to us about getting to the point of exit. So like you grew this company. Did you have it in mind that you were going to exit this company um for the amount that you did? I know it's undisclosed, so you don't have to share
Yeah,
the amount.
sorry,
So
NDAs.
all good. So did you have in mind that you knew you wanted to exit by this stage when it was getting closer, or was that
No.
just a surprise?
No, for most of the journey, I was playing an infinite game. Um, and and I think that is the best way to play the game, by the way, to not plan to exit, to plan to build a incredible, sustainable, profitable, healthy, amazing company, which ironically makes you way more attractive for acquirers down the road.
Mm.
Um, and so that was the way that I had played it. Um, and I think there's an important point here that I want to talk about with people in the transition from 21 to 22. So in 2021, in August of 2021, we did our team offsite in Austin, Texas, and we were doing about a 6 million run rate at that point. And between August of 21 and January of 22, we went from a 6 million run rate and 40 people to a $20 million run rate and like 110 people. So like this really fast
Yeah.
explosion in recruiting, unnatural artificial growth. Um, and and I drove those decisions to keep growing, keep hiring, things like that, and it ended up not being a good decision. And it was a lot driven by my ego. Um, and so then you're growing really fast, all these new people on the team, all these new customers coming on, processes start to break, um, culture starts to change when you add 50 new people in 6 months. Um, and then all of a sudden the bottom drops out of the SaaS market at like a perfect storm. And so now all of our customers' funding's cut off. Their investors are saying like it's SaaS winter, cut every single expense. All companies cut external expenses and easy to cut software first. What's the easiest thing to cut in an entire company? HR and then external marketing and advertising. Those are the first things to go. That's where the budget line item that we sat in. And so the growth of the company basically goes from like adding $3 million in recurring revenue per month on
Mhm.
like this massive growth trajectory to stalling out. Um, and at that point, I went from feeling like a hero to feeling like a loser. Um, And it was because, and it took me a long time to really realize this, but it was because I had my self-worth completely tied up in the performance of my business. And so I don't feel good about myself. And so therefore um, I try to use external things outside of me to close that gap. Business success was one of them. Content and followers was another one. The number of people that worked at my company was another one. Um, and that was the the most challenging and most amazing period of my life because it forced me to switch from all of these external metrics that and validation that we're trained to try to strive for, and it brought it all back into me. And so during that time, I hired a coach named Kevin, um, and I started implementing a morning writing routine that I've evolved over the past 3 or 4 years and made it truly one of the most amazing things that I do every day. And started to work on a process that took a long time of how do I feel amazing and great about myself, regardless of what's going on around me, regardless of how my business is doing, regardless of if someone on LinkedIn tells me that I'm stupid or that my ideas are dumb, um, regardless of all of those different things. Um, and that was, yeah, like one of the most amazing things that ever happened to me, believe it or not.
It takes a lot of self-awareness to even recognize that you may need external help. to help you overcome what you were going through at that time. So let's talk about this. How does Chris from 2018-19 look versus the Chris from 2023-24? And what does that evolution look like in terms of self-awareness?
I think that the way that I look at it is a little bit different. I've started to really dissect. Like I can almost talk to people for a little while, and I can identify like what what operating system are you running. I believe that humans run on an operating system. I'm aware of 6 total levels that I've experienced for myself, and I see in others. And the default level is survival and scarcity.
Mhm.
And so I would say that that's where I fit for a majority of my life up in 2018, 2019. Um, and a majority of the population lives in that state, and it's not a bad thing. I've been there too, but being aware of it is a really nice thing to know. Um, and in 2020, the January 2024, and it was about a 6 month process for me to promote my business partner, Megan Bowen, to CEO of Refine Labs as the operator of the company, which officially happened in January of 24. Um, and by that point, I'm running a level 3 operating system,
So what,
which I call activation.
so
Um,
what's level two? So survival's level one. What's level two?
uh, Level 2 is seeing through the illusion.
And then level three was
Level 3 is activation.
okay.
And within activation, you start to realize, and maybe I've been sitting in this place for a year or two, but my thoughts, beliefs, energy uh, co-create the reality that I experience. If I believe that I am going to make a huge impact for millions of people, and I believe that I'm going to make $1 million a month, I would write these things down, I would program them into my mind, and I would achieve them with time and effort. Um, and once you start to experience that for yourself, you start to see, oh, like it's mostly about what's going on in my head and how that drives my energy and my actions determines the results that I get in my life. And so once you start to see that you have power over that's a core part of level 3.
So all of this is now going on around 23, 24, and you're getting deeper into this. When did your initial exit happen from Refine Labs?
So I became just a transition to executive chairman and not non-operational, not in the day-to-day of the business in January of 2024.
And was this happening as a result of you being in that activation level that you were kind of aiming for this stuff? Or was this just like a byproduct of the business growing separately?
I think that there's multiple factors in any type of decision like this. One factor is that having the self-awareness of your role and your genius zone as a entrepreneur or any human for that matter is a incredible superpower. And so I found myself doing a bunch of things that were not in my sweet spot and did not light me up and didn't give me energy and weren't things that were things that many other people could do. And when I truly owned my role as an architect and a visionary and a transmitter, I am able to see new opportunities. I can broadcast those to people. I can pull in the right people to that are aligned with that mission to build it, the customers and attract the customers. And so when I fully realized that role, I said, somebody else should be running this company. Like my work here is done. And so that realization happened in mid 23. And with that new awareness, I focused mainly on the beginning part, seeing a market problem, which I started another company subsequent thereafter called Paceto that next month, um, and then continued to build and grow that one. Now we're at 4 employees and getting off the ground there with our software and services. Um, and then I have started another one. I've become an advisor, limited partner, and so that was the transition. This is a huge transition because for the most of my time as an entrepreneur, I said, "Oh, this is what I said to myself: if I'm the majority shareholder, I have to be the CEO." And this transition from operator to owner, and knowing that these are two independent roles, that you can own a company and not work in it, own a company and not run it, was a massive unlock for me to a new altitude. You still can go to the board meeting, you can still have a vision, you can still help the CEO, you can still promote the company, but you don't have to be in the day-to-day operations, which did not seem like a available path for me until mid 23.
Okay. So you mentioned genius zone a couple of times. How does someone find their genius zone?
Um, I've been helping others try to find this within themselves. Um, I think that partially it's something that you don't find, it arrives, um, and that trying things and seeing what lights you up. And then over time, because like a lot of what I really view them as superpowers now that I have, that I can do things that are supernatural, that are many other people have not cultivated this ability. And so I want to just be in that zone. Um, and many people will have that. Some people, they're an amazing artist, or they're an amazing copywriter, or they're an amazing leader, and they can get people rallied around something. Like whatever it is for you, I think the easiest way is to go and look at your calendar from last week and go through every single thing and say, which of these things lit me the fuck up? And then look at them and see what the pattern is. And then you could also say which of these things were like the most draining and exhausting to me, and then start to pattern match, and then systematically, whether it's through automation, hiring someone, bringing on a business partner, there are so many different ways to get it done. Eliminate those things that don't light you up and get into the mode where you're just doing the thing that lights you up. Another thing that I learned along the way, because like for a while we were burning like 60, 70 hour, 80-hour weeks. Like I'm working at least 6 days a week, sometimes 7. That if you are in the right your zone and you build the other things around you, there's no way you ever need to work that much. And that like you can make more of an impact with 10 or 15 quality hours in your exact zone of genius than you do doing a bunch of random shit for your business and sitting on Zoom 6 or 7 days a week. And that has totally flipped my paradigm in terms of productivity as well.
Do you think that everyone has to go through that 60 to 80, sometimes 100-hour weeks first before they're able to get to the point where then they can place the right people in the company to kind of extract themselves from the day-to-day stuff?
Um, my intuition is no. I think many people that are like me would say yes. You need to suffer, and then after you suffer, that then you make some money and you can hire people, and then you can just work 20 hours a week because you're rich. And you had to suffer through all of this before you could get to it. I'm not buying into that narrative as much anymore. I think that somebody that goes into business with the right mindset can build their business around their lifestyle instead of having their business be their life. And that through that process of like, why do people need to grow their business so fast? It's because they want to impress other people. It's because they want other people to feel like they're doing something good. Why do people raise money from VC and then get caught on this hamster wheel for 15 years? Because they want to make a LinkedIn post so everyone sees that they raised 15 million bucks and they can tell their mom and people will be proud of them. All of the things about urgency and fast achievement come from filling a hole within yourself. And so if you're not in a hurry and you are doing things that light you up and that you're operating with foundational principles of integrity and value and alignment, I do believe that people can build a business. I watch it. I advise people that are working 100 hours a week, and then after 2 months of working with me, they're working 25 hours a week, making the same or more amount of money, and now have all this time to do all the things that they love. And it's really a mindset thing. When you tell yourself, I need to suffer in order to be successful, or this is going to be hard, it's going to be a grind for 5 years, and maybe I'll make some money, you are creating that for yourself. I did it. I get it.
I love that. Going back to the 6 levels. So we've got survival, we've got survival and scarcity, seeing through the illusion, and then level 3 was activation. What are the next 3 levels that you have to go through to be in that zone of genius the majority of the time?
Yeah, so let's just cover seeing the illusion briefly so people can
Sure.
understand. And because most people will be in one of these 3 first levels, so it's important that you can calibrate where you are. Um, Seeing through the illusion means that you start to question how the world works, instead of just conforming to what society tells you to do. I'll give you many examples. And the way that I look at this is that when you enter this world, you are unconsciously signing thousands, maybe millions of invisible contracts that you unknowingly sign about how you believe the world works. And so I need to get married as a female, or oftentimes as a male. I need to get married by the time I'm 30 because that's what society tells me to do. Um, I need to go to college because that's what successful people do. Before I get married, I'll have a bachelor party. That sounds like a great fucking idea. The least aligned thing to marriage is going to a bachelor or a bachelorette party. And so questioning, why do we do this? Drinking alcohol, that's celebrating. The idea of celebrating is going out and getting drunk or doing bottle service. That's how you celebrate. Like, that's not how I celebrated the exit of my company.
How
Um,
did you celebrate the exit of your company?
I went to dinner with my girlfriend and reminisced about all the amazing times, and then I was able to just have text conversations and LinkedIn DMs with all of these amazing people that were a part of the journey, who I maybe had helped in their career, or they had helped me, and a lot of thank yous and appreciation. Um, that's what celebrating was to me. Um, so anyway, like when you start to see that all the things that you are told that this is how your life is supposed to be, and you start to see and ask, why the fuck do I do this stuff? That's seeing through the illusion. And through that questioning, um, you start to adopt a greater amount of emotional sensitivity. Not that your emotions own you, but you start to take ownership over your emotions. That you start to get little hits of intuition that were just blocked when you were in fear and survival and scarcity before. Now you start to feel this power within you about having a GPS in your body about what is right for me and what should I do. And then you move to activation, which we covered, which is basically having ownership over your thoughts and your beliefs, which then create your emotions
Mhm.
and your energy and your behaviors and drive the outcomes and results that you get in your life. Powerful position to be in that level. And talking with someone for 2 or 3 minutes, I can assess where they fit on this scale for sure. Um, and through that, you start to uh, feel more in this the claircognizance, clairaudience, clairsentience category. Like in 2021, I lived in Boston, and I felt a magnet pulling me to Austin, Texas. Like it would say it would say it in my head, move to Austin. I would hear it, and I would feel like I was being pulled there. And then I rationalize it, and I'm like, oh, it's because there's lower income tax and there's no state income tax and the weather's better. That's why I'm moving to Austin. But really, it was this feeling inside of me like I have to be here.
I'm
Um,
smiling. I'm smiling a lot because I got the same feeling back in 2021 about Dubai, and
mm,
the magic that's happened since I've taken action on that is unreal. It's stuff that I never even dreamed was possible or within my sphere of like capability. So, yeah, huge. Okay, carry on.
Yep. So you start to unlock these abilities that are innately inside of you. And many times at the beginning, you don't listen to them fully, right? Like, I should leave this relationship I've been in for 2 years, or wow, I should not be the CEO of this company anymore, or wow, I should sell my company. And you get this feeling of intuition, and then you put it in a spreadsheet and you try to analyze it rationally or logically, and realize that you can't make sense of this what you're being told to do, or what yourself is telling you to do. And the world, everyone has been trained that if there's no data and no logic or no ration, then you're being irresponsible and that type of thing. I now find it to be the exact opposite. All of my best life decisions that make me feel immense amount of freedom, pride, authenticity, appreciation are things that don't make sense in a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And so that's level three. Level four is called energetic mastery, where you move from mainly your thoughts and this intellectual process of using your thoughts to create your reality, i.e. manifestation, which happens in a slow, effort-based fashion. Sure, I can write down I'm going to make $1 million a month for 2 years and work 80 hours a week, and I made $1 million a month. You know what I mean? Or that I'm going to speak at conferences, or date a pretty girl, or have a nice car, or whatever I had wrote down. They all happened, but it required time. It was time and effort-based, linear progress. This upgrade to mainly using your energy, thoughts drive energy, but you can almost like fast track it, dramatically increases the amount of magnetization that you have in your life. The types of people, the opportunities, the ideas that flow to you much more quickly create this acceleration and progress to where you didn't think it was possible. That is a super advanced level, and we're only at level 4. And then you'll also start to that level requires you to trust when something's pulling you to Dubai and you don't know why, and you can't make sense of it, and you're scared because you might have to leave London or wherever you live right now and go somewhere new, and you have to start over, and the world's telling you don't do that, play it safe. That when you start to follow that, that's how you unlock level 4. It's removing self-doubt and trusting your inner GPS, and knowing that energy is so much stronger than what your brain can rationalize.
Yeah.
And so that's when you start to truly live by like mainly your energy and inner trust, rather than logic and ration and societal rules or beliefs.
Mm. What's level 5?
Level 5 is called reality architecture.
So talk to me about
And the when as we go up in these levels, when people are listening, you'll be able to clearly assess where you fall, because you'll start to not understand this. And so you'll know, okay, I'm here, right? I understand that most people won't intellectually understand these next 2 levels, but just because you don't understand it right now doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
It's another
Just
reason why you got to come back and listen to this as you progress through the 6 stages.
and just 9 months ago, I would have thought that both of these levels were impossible. I couldn't even fathom. I couldn't even fathom that these things could happen. Okay. So one key part of level 5 reality architecture is being able to understand that the past, present, and future all exist simultaneously, and experience that outside of linear time. Time is a 3-dimensional construct, and as you increase your frequency, you increase the control that you have around time rather than time controlling you. The first time, like the experience that I had where I saw the future vision of Refine Labs, which was probably closer to like late 2019, 2020, we had some traction before I actually had that vision. Um, and then had many subsequent experiences, whether for new businesses, for where the world is going, for where my life is going. Um, you're actually like, you're experiencing the future. Um, and because you're operating at a certain frequency, you have access to these potential futures, being able to see them because all these potentials exist. And so that's one of the biggest ones. And with that ability, now you are able to basically shift your energy and shift how reality responds around you almost instantly. I oscillate, just for total transparency. I've experienced all levels, but I oscillate between level 4 and level 5 currently. And it's not like you sit in one and then you're there. You have a default level, and then you have a bad day, you get in your head, you can go down. You have a great day and your frequency's up and things like that, you can go up, and then you have a baseline. So I oscillate between level 4 and level 5 right now. And the key marker in reality architecture is that you can almost instantly create something in ways that people don't think are possible. So for instance, I'm working on my new venture, Encoded, which I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit. Like, I have this huge vision of how we're going to pull in biometric data and measure frequency, and then how that's going to become the infrastructure for this new world. And I'm not going to build this, wearable medical device that people are going to wear to measure their frequency. And I'm like, what are we going to do with this? And then I was just like, the perfect person is already working on this thing, and they are going to show up exactly when I need them. And then 4 hours later on Sunday, I shit you not, 4 hours after I said that to myself, the person who's been working on this project for 6 years from Istanbul
That's insane.
messages me on LinkedIn and says, I've been working on this thing. I feel like we need to work on it together. And I have hundreds of those different examples that people would say, oh, yeah, that's just a coincidence. And it's like, maybe one time it's a coincidence, but the AI engineer that I needed for the product shows up at the perfect time. I asked for ideas, I asked for abilities, and they're like, I want this villa at this hotel, and we're 4 hours early. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, Villa 2 actually, the people checked out early. It's ready for you right now. Like, just crazy stuff. And that is people will think, oh, this is black magic. This is physics. And I want people to start to move, because many people will hear this and be like, oh, like, this is spiritual, or this doesn't feel like science. This feels woo woo. It's like, no, actually there is much science being developed right now that proves that these concepts exist in the world. And as the rapid evolution of AI continues to change how humanity exists, like, where are all the desk jobs going to be in 5 years?
Non-existent.
Non-existent. What about the taxi drivers?
Yeah,
What about the
well,
fast food workers? And so when you start to see that, you realize that the whole world has been built around this idea that I store information in my brain, and then I use that information to make money. And that entire reality is going to collapse over the next five years. Just like when the internet happened. When the internet happened in the 1990s, there were people that said, and even this is maybe even a little earlier in the 80s, they said, you'll never make money working at your laptop. Go get a real job in a factory. That's what people said. And so the people right now that are saying, this isn't important, this is spiritual, this is woo-woo, this isn't for me, you're the same person that said back in the day, you'll never make money using your laptop, the internet is a fad. This is a critical part of human evolution that is undeniable.
history keeps repeating itself multiple times. The same thing happened with credit cards. The same things happened with crypto, and it's just I think inherently fear the unknown, but the unknown is the only place where genius can actually live, right? So there's a there's an element of needing to embrace the unknown that has to happen to even go through any of these stages. Um, what's level 6?
Level 6 is pure resonance, um, meaning that you live a life in entire 100% bliss. Anything that you desire occurs almost immediately. Um, that you're able to design new ways that the world works, that how you can design new ways that groups of humans think or build or what they do, not in a manipulative way, and like a true humanitarian way.
Mm,
Um, and that is a level that I've touched for days. Totally honest, like days, not a lot of time. But through that experience, I now know that it exists.
amazing.
Um, and so that those end up being the levels that are available. And there arguably could be five more after that, right? I can only speak through my own personal experience on this. And ironically, this is literally the same thing that I did with marketing in 2019.
Interesting.
Like I was able to just see the patterns and experience what was going on and hear from the executives in confidential conversations what they really thought, not what their PR politics was and what was actually happening. And when I started talking about marketing the way that I did in 2019, 80% of the people told me I was stupid and that it would never work and that they need to have their ebooks downloaded and that who's this guy talking about stuff. And then over time, more and more people start to see, oh, he's right. like, and so this isn't my first rodeo. I know that when I bring these concepts to the world, 20 to 50% of people will say, this is interesting.
Mhm.
Chris has credibility. Like, I at least want to explore this a little further, or I at least think that this might be possible and at least have a level of curiosity. And some people will push back on it and say, I'm just going to keep building my AI company and with burnout and confusion and stagnation and ego. Um, and I have literally no attachment to anyone listening to this podcast doing anything about what I'm talking about here. I'm purely offering a new perspective, having lived the life that I have and built the companies and achieved the things. And it's not that if I went back, I would do it differently. It's that if I was at the beginning again, I wish there was someone like me telling me these things.
Uh, Such an interesting approach. And something that you have written about Encoded is your frequency is your future. So what is Encoded? How does it help people? And how does it take someone from survival to at least getting to experience pure resonance?
Uh, Encoded in its current form is a system that people use, a daily system, sort of like as you'd work out.
Mhm.
And so people believe that if I work out every day, I'll be more healthy, but they don't do the same thing for their mindset and energy. So this puts a practice in place, a framework and a process that people can use to design their ideal life, anchor their frequency and beliefs into who the person they're going to be in this ideal life is, and anchor that frequency on a daily basis, which drives their actions, how they interact with the world, the things that come to them, the opportunities and things like that. It pairs, so that's a physical, actually writing with a pen and writing it down, printing that frequency into 3D is super important. So there's a part of that. Think about it as like the journaling routine that you might do a couple of days a week on fucking steroids. Like the process is dialed, it's intentional. It's not just writing in a notebook. So people say, oh, this is just another journaling routine. It's like, no, this is anchoring your frequency to your ideal life and rewiring your beliefs and your identity. And then it pairs with an AI companion app that's able to mirror back to you the person that you are in the future. So you've written about your ideal life, you write about your beliefs, you write down every day what's going on, what you believe, you answer prompts, and all of a sudden it says, hey, like you've mentioned not having enough money 4 days in a row. Remember who you're going to be? Remember how much money you're going to make? Like not in that exact way, but it provides a mirror to show people, hey, your frequency's falling here.
Mm.
And then in the future, so that's like the base product. That this is the first, most people need to get out of level one themselves. It's really just a light bulb that goes off like this. And the product is really built to take people from two to four. And then after four, again, there's on the roadmap, there are new ways to get there, but there's like a specific piece that this product and system is built for. And then in the future, we have a incredible vision about how basically the information era is in a complete collapse and decline right now. That in the information era, value was exchanged based on intelligence and productivity, and that with the rapid rise of artificial intelligence, but quickly super intelligence and AI training itself, that paradigm will entirely collapse, and that in the future, now, this is like being in the internet in 1992. That so it's already happening. That we'll be in the frequency era, where humans are valued not by how much information they store in their brain, but what frequency they emit into the world, and how that frequency impacts other people around them. And when you think about it, everyone will get this. When you spend time with certain people, when you are done with that experience, you feel amazing about yourself. And when you spend time with other people, you leave, maybe for days after that, maybe you don't recognize it consciously, you're confused, you have doubt, you're like not as don't have as much energy. Why is that? It's because that person's frequency is contagious to you. And most people don't consciously realize this yet, but they will in the future. And people will value so much being around people that are at the same or higher frequency as them, that there will be an entirely new way that currency flows and value is exchanged, which right now it's taking information out of my brain and giving it to you. And over time, it'll be the frequency coming out of my body and giving that to you.
Mm. I absolutely freaking love the concept behind it. It's almost like there's a safety net, or like alarm bells go off directly to the individual using the app. So if you're kind of feeding back to the app your daily thoughts and feelings, emotions, and there is a string of negativity, it's now got something that you now have something that can bring you back up in terms of your frequency by just reminding you, because your frequency, from my understanding of this, is your thoughts and feelings that you allow to take control in the forefront of your mind. Because whatever thoughts and feelings you bring to the forefront are the ones that effectively emit the frequency that you experience. And you're in control of that. So if you allow the negative thoughts and feelings to spiral and be the ones that are in control, that's the frequency that you emit. And then that's what you then start to experience in the world, because the world mirrors and reflects what you are feeling internally. But now having something like Encoded to reflect back to you the thoughts that you actually want to experience, bringing those back to the forefront of your mind just gives you the best opportunity to condition yourself to have that mirror reflection in the real world.
Yeah, I mean, entrepreneur I've been working with recently, the way that he framed it before working together was I'm brainwashing myself.
Yeah.
And I said, and the real way to put it is that 95% of the things that go on in your body and your mind, you're not conscious of.
Mm.
And this process rewires and eliminates things that are going on in your subconscious that don't help you, and adds things to it that are going to bring the things that you want in your life.
Awesome. Chris, this has been a hell of a conversation, and I'm super excited to see what happens with Encoded. What is the vision for Encoded moving forward? Like what's the full picture as it stands at the moment?
So when the internet, we can go back because this is history repeats itself. Um, in the internet era, many people would push back against, hey, like I'm going to keep working at the factory, and then for a decade, maybe 2 decades, you had two independent realities running at the same time. the people that lived without chose to not live in the internet, and the people that were living in the internet. And those two realities can coexist, and the people that are in both of them are experiencing the world entirely differently. We're going to be in that paradigm for at least the next 5 years, potentially 20 even. Um, and the goal of Encoded is just like how Google provided what you call a search engine, which is what the internet basically ran on, right? It was the search engine of the internet, which means I'm going to collect all of this information, and then I'm going to be able to, through your user interface, serve you up the information that you want. That we are creating the frequency engine for the frequency era, which means that all these people are going to have their frequency, they're going to be measured, and then through that, you're going to have access, connections, experience, places to go, jobs to do, all these types of things based on the frequency that you're operating at. And I am positive that it will not take long, because I talk to smart people and people that experience this, and they already feel it, and it will happen very quickly, that people will only want to be around and interact with people that are at the same frequency or higher than them. It will happen fast. And first, if there's no, if it's just like a sensing feeling, you'll feel it. That's for sure. But in the future, I do believe that there are scientifically valid ways to measure this accurately. And imagine you just upgrade to level 4, right? And that just happened. And then all of a sudden, you get a Telegram DM that says, come to Santa Teresa, Costa Rica. There are 8 other level 4s, and this is what's happening, and you can contribute, and then you just go. I also think that the way that you make money, it's not even, I wouldn't even consider it money anymore. The way that currency and value is exchanged will fundamentally change. And this is not to say that the world that you live in right now, the world that we all experience, won't exist. It will, just like the people that lived when the internet didn't exist and chose to stay there. People will continue to live in the information era, and other people will see the collapse and shift. And either way is perfectly fine. You do you, but that is the longer term vision. I haven't seen in the most recent vision that I had. It seemed like it was about 10 years from now. And so we have the building blocks and the blueprint for how to get there. And anyone that wants to contribute, many people that are contributing to this right now are doing it because they feel like I need to do this. I've been waiting for this opportunity to use my skills. And so if you feel that way, would love to talk to you about how you might be able to contribute to this mission.
Yeah, Chris, I'm gonna have to talk to you about that myself. I've spent 7 years teaching people how to create visions, so definitely a part of my zone of genius, if you will. But interesting. I'm super curious to know. You said within a couple of minutes of conversation with someone, you can tell where someone is at on that scale. Where would you say I'm at?
You were interviewing me most of the time, so this is more of a feel than a knowing, but I would say somewhere between 3 and 4.
Fair enough. I was going to say somewhere similar as well. So
Yeah.
amazing. Chris, to finish off, I've just got 4 quick fire questions for you. So first one, what is the number 1 skill you think is most essential for someone to learn to be able to succeed in today's world?
Understanding how to take ownership of your emotions and master your thoughts and beliefs.
Love it. What is the most impactful book or movie that you've read or watched that's had a significant impact in your life? And you can give me both if you've got one of each.
I just totally love the book Mastery by Robert Greene. I feel like I see myself going back to it over and over. And I'm in the middle of chapter 6 of it right now, believe it or not. And it's just such a fascinating and incredible book for people that are trying to achieve true mastery, like Einstein, Da Vinci, like a lot of people that have done. There's a lot more people than that, but people that have done incredible things in their field. I just find it to be so fascinating to understand how those people work, their stories, how it didn't make sense, what they did didn't make sense on paper almost 100% of the time, and then boom, they like have left a real positive impact on the world. So I'd say anyone that feels that should pick it up and give it a shot.
Love it. For someone listening to this that's going through their initial phases of getting into their passion, their vision, and they're nervous or worried about following through, what's your one piece of advice to that person?
To go really deep inside yourself and figure out why you're nervous, and
Amazing.
to recognize that as an emotion, and then realize that there are subconscious thoughts that create that emotion, and identify what those thoughts are, uh, and then work your way to have that not be a part of your subconscious thinking.
Perfect. Final question. What's the one positive message that you'd love to share with everyone listening to this today?
Um, that most people, including myself earlier on, always thought that I needed to chase a future version of me by like working harder and taking a bunch of courses, and there's like this version of me way out there that like felt like impossible to fathom, um, and to switch it to realize that um, it's actually more like chiseling a masterpiece than building a building. That all the stuff that you have is already in you, and that by chipping away at the beliefs that you have that are holding you back, the behavior patterns like drinking alcohol or smoking cigarettes or all of these artificial dopamine patterns that people and habits people have, and chipping away at those, the relationships that you engage in, how you feel about yourself, the story that you tell yourself, and as you chip away at that, you are a masterpiece to begin with. And that it's really, when you frame it that way and you stop framing it, I need to go out and get stuff, and think about it as I need to go in and see all this amazingness in me. It's just such a powerful truth. This is a truth, not some wishy-washy positivity thing. That's exactly how it works, and you have all that amazingness in you.
What a hell of a sentiment to finish on. You are a masterpiece to begin with. Absolutely love that. Chris, thank you so much for the time.
Cool, man. What a blast. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
I appreciate it.